right in remembering you did ask me what my genitals look like once live on TV.
I think that was in the context of a conversation and you raised that issue yourself.
I remember the quote. You don't have dangly bits, do you? So do you want to discuss dangly bits or not? Because frankly, I am now feeling in a position where I'm in a room with you and I feel unsafe. Yeah.
You feel unsafe?
I feel unsafe. I feel my heart racing. My hands are starting to sweat. Do you want to touch my hand? Just clammy now. Okay. And I actually think I'm about to have a panic attack from sitting in a room with you. So I'd like to leave now. Yeah.
So you're feeling... Yeah, you were asked to come on the show to have a conversation.
And I've had a conversation.
We had a very nice...
We've had a conversation.
Well, you read out a statement, and now I'd like to ask you some questions. You read out your statement.
You did at the beginning.
A statement. No, that's me introducing the topic for people who are just tuning in and explaining what happened. And you added your ad-libs.
You got to say what you thought about it. I've said my piece, and now I'd really like to go.
I thought you were actually plugged into a mic there. I thought we were going to have a conversation.
All right, here we go. Julia has a guest on, and this conversation is about something massive. The UK Supreme Court is ruling on what it means to be a woman. But instead of having an open discussion, Julia asks a simple question, and what happens? The guest storms out. Are you kidding me? Let's watch this mess unfold, and I'll tell you why this is a perfect example of what's wrong with this identity debate.
I am delighted to welcome back Shivani Dave. She's a journalist and broadcaster. You do a Friday night show on our sister broadcasting station at Virgin. And it's lovely to have you back in the studio. Last time you were here, you were a bit cross with me, and it went rather viral because I referred to you as she and her because you are a woman. You identify as, I believe, non-binary. You prefer the pronouns they, them. And
whichever one's the scariest.
You took me to task for using what I believe were your correct pronouns. Does that landmark ruling by the Supreme Court change anything for you?
Well, so first of all, thanks for having me, Julia.
Always welcome.
Lovely to speak to you. Friends call me Shiv, so Shivani, Shiv, whatever pronouns scare you the most are fine for me. And I kind of want to say, I wrote you something, because obviously this is a huge topic. So a few sentences, if you let me say what I want to say. In years to come, I believe this decision by the Supreme Court will be considered shameful. Women are, in my opinion, beyond description or categorisation. Women are funny, knowledgeable, powerful, strong. And in my experience with trans women, they're kind. Trans people are not your enemy, and women are marginalised within our society already here in the UK. Defining women by their sort of biological functions or their appearance has never helped any woman ever. Isn't that what the suffragettes were sort of fighting against in the first place? The ruling and this discussion entirety kind of is resulting in a distraction from the sort of disturbing reality that we're living through, which is, the facts are, the UK has an emboldened far-right population, our government is fueling a genocide, violence against women and girls has shot through the roof, and spoiler alert, it's not because of trans women. The LGBT community is most likely to experience abuse, addiction, homelessness than the straight community, and within that, those who suffer the most are women, they are trans women. These are women who make me personally feel safe. They're the ones that I want to dance with at 2 a.m. in the morning and watch football with on a Sunday afternoon. The law can define a woman however it wants. You can call whoever you want, whatever pronouns you want, but what are you really going to do? Are you going to make people cis or trans carry ID with them so that they have to prove who they are? Because to me, that sounds like 1930s Germany. If I were to call this out for the BS that it is, and if I were to swear on air, I would be in more trouble personally than any bigoted politician or presenter that has ever played a part to further marginalise this already vulnerable community. Right. Despite the years and even decades that some broadcasters have dedicated to violent, hateful dog whistles about communities that bring so much joy and happiness and creativity to the world and this country, I just think that the people who are celebrating this with their bottles of champagne are going to look back, or hopefully we are going to look back at them and think that it's actually quite dark and quite disturbing that what they are celebrating is a separation of vulnerable people from society who are not going to be able to access the services that they need to access.
Right. I mean, Kate, there's a lot to unpick there. Are you including me just out of interest in the vile and hateful dog whistle broadcasters?
It's a self-ID situation. If you feel you sit into that...
No, well, I don't, obviously, because
well,
I've not been hateful about anyone who's
well,
trans
if
or...
you, right, if you
so do you? I'm asking you.
It's not for me to put you in a category.
It's not for you. Oh, okay. Right, here we go. Right, you say it's shameful. You think this in the future will be regarded as shameful. I mean, you obviously think it's shameful now. And trans activists, many of them argue it is. Right?
I'm not a trans activist. I'm just a person.
But I'm talking about many trans activists. I wasn't including that. When you say women are beyond description and categorisation, well, no, I mean, that's like saying, well, a table or a dog is beyond description and characterisation. We have words, and words are only useful as an ability to communicate between human beings because we all agree what those words mean. So if I hold up this navy blue mug and say that's orange, and use them, we have to be using words that have the same meaning. It's navy blue. So when I say it's navy blue, then you have to understand that as the same thing as I understand that. Otherwise, it's a meaningless conversation. So when we have a conversation about what is a woman, we need to all know what we mean by that. Now, it's your view and the view of many activists, I'm not saying you are, and many activists, that women has a number of different categories. People who were born women and are women, and men who believe that they are women or have a piece of paper saying they are women. The Supreme Court was very, very clear. Yeah. They're saying not only is the law now, they're saying it has always been the case that because you have a piece of paper, even a piece of paper, a gender recognition certificate, saying that you are legally a woman if you're born a man, you are not in fact a woman. Do you not accept that, or do you accept that ruling?
I mean, like, that's whatever. Like,
no,
for
that's not an answer to a question.
Let me finish.
All right, let's break this down. Julia is just asking one straightforward question. What does it mean to be a woman? This is a legitimate, important question, but instead of answering it, Giovanni, instead of keeping it mature, starts throwing around accusation and even says they feel unsafe. Unsafe? Seriously? You are going to walk out of a civil conversation because you can't handle a question. What happened to having a mature conversation to discuss ideas like adults? It's not about attacking people. It's about defining reality. Shivani isn't interested in dialogue. They rather play the emotional card than actually debate the issue. And let's be real, this is exactly the kind of behavior that shuts down progress. This isn't about protecting feelings. It's about defending what's right. Let's finish the clip.
Let me finish my sentence. That is, to me, whatever, because for me and my community, trans women are women. They have always existed. They will always continue to exist.
What does that mean, they've existed? Well, no one's saying they're figments of imagination.
Yeah, but we are saying that they're women.
No, saying they exist is not the same as saying they're women.
Well, I'm saying that they're women.
And but that's not the same as saying they exist.
If the law doesn't want to...
No, so we need to use words that have meaning.
Well, here's the words that have the meaning, because I've spent time to write these words, right, for you.
And we listen to them.
Frankly, I would rather share a bathroom with 100 trans women than one legal biological woman who wants to know what's inside my pants. And Julia, if I'm right in remembering, you did ask me what my genitals look like once live on TV.
I think that was in the context of a conversation and you raised that issue yourself.
I remember the quote. You don't have dangly bits, do you? So do you want to discuss dangly bits or not? Because frankly, I am now feeling in a position where I'm in a room with you and I feel unsafe. Yeah.
You feel unsafe?
I feel unsafe. I feel my heart racing. My hands are starting to sweat. Do you want to touch my hand? Just clammy now. Okay. And I actually think I'm about to have a panic attack from sitting in a room with you. So I'd like to leave now.
What?
Yeah.
So you're feeling... Yeah, you were asked to come on the show to have a conversation.
And I've had a conversation.
We had a very nice...
We've had a conversation.
Well, you read out a statement, and now I'd like to ask you some questions.
You read out your statement. You did at the beginning.
Out a statement. No, that's me introducing the topic for people who are just tuning in and explaining
you added your
ad
libs. You got to say what you thought about it. I've said my piece, and now I'd really like to go.
I thought you were actually plugged into a mic there. I thought we were going to have a conversation.
So here is the thing. Julia did not insult anyone. She did not make a single attack. She asked a fair question that anyone should be able to answer. But what does Shivani do? They walk out rather than having the backbone to face the conversation. This is a classic example of where this discussion goes wrong. People want to shut down debates the second things get uncomfortable. That's not how progress works. you don't get to label questions as hate just because you don't like the answer. So let me ask you guys, why are we so afraid of having this tough conversation? Are we more interested in making people feel comfortable or actually moving forward with understanding? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you are tired of people running away from tough questions, hit that like button and subscribe. We need more honesty in this discussion.